everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna give you my personal 10 parenting tips. I'm Rita and today it's all about you. So first tip for today is love. Love and act sweet with your kid. Be polite and be a role model. What I mean is you shouldn't really scream with your kid. Just hug and kiss and teach him to be polite and be polite with him. And you will see that this will come back to you very often and very soon. The second tip is balanced rules. So if you can balance the rules that you create for your kid between flexibility and some of that rules, just try to not be too firm or too rigid, and try to be a little bit more flexible, and always make him understand that this always depends on his behavior. So if his behavior is the way you expect it to be, you can be a little bit more flexible about the rules. Otherwise you have to be a little bit more firm. Don't compare your kid to other kids. You can teach and must teach the difference between you and the other kids, or between him and other kids. Make the emphasis that each person is different and has their own specificities, but don't compare. Comparing even with other siblings can create a low self-esteem and low confidence in your kid, and can really make him not understand why other kids are having your attention and why you think other kids are better than he is. So stop comparing your kid with anybody. Talk is the better way to deal with some problems or some issues, and to teach some stuff like respect, like honesty, like social life, like consequences, and so on. So the better way is to try to talk with your kid and try to find a better place or a better timing during the day for this to happen. Usually kids are a little bit more vulnerable when you put them into bed, or when they are a little bit more calm doing some kind of stuff, and if you start a conversation in these times, they will observe much more what you want to say. So always solve your things with your kids talking. Always solve all the things that you think that the kid can have talking. If you develop since your kid is a toddler, he will understand and he will make this as a habit, and you will see that things will be much more smoother, and he will grow as a responsible kid that you want him to be. Other thing is to promote independence. It's very important that you promote this independence. Sometimes people want their kids to be dependent or feel good about themselves as a parent when the kids are a little bit more dependent, but this is very, very wrong. So you have to give your kid wings since he's very little. So instigate your kid to play with other kids without your presence. Instigate your kid to do little stuff alone, little by little, starting when he's 2-3 years old. Start to eating by himself, start to know where to put his own stuff. So all of the things that your kid can help you. For instance, at home, he can put his toys away when he finishes playing, or he can do other things. And you can teach him and instigate this independence. This independence is very important in any stage, in any time of your kid development, and in any ages. It's very important that you can give him this kind of independence. So little by little, go to do some kind of activity and go by himself. If you live in a place that it's not so safe, of course you are not gonna tell your kids to go outside alone, but if you have other possibilities, and if you have places that he can go by himself, or even if you go, for instance, to a place like a cafe or an ice cream shop, tell your kids to do it by himself, to ask what he wants, to make the transition with you first, and then you can be a little bit more away, but try little by little to give your kid this kind of independence, and to give him the possibility to grow by himself, to give the possibility to be to feel strong about himself, and especially to be confident about his own abilities. Another thing that you have to be aware, or that you have to think about when you are thinking about parenting, it's punishment. Punishment is just a consequence of something that was not exactly how you planned, or was not a rule. So this is something that you have to talk with your kid about, that everything has consequences, and that punishment must be a consequence. Of course, when I talk about punishment, I'm not talking about physical aggression, I'm not talking about psychological aggression, I'm just talking about consequences. I believe that the kid, every kid, any kid can understand that if he breaks a rule, it will have a consequence. Usually, one of the best consequences that are not harm your kid is the consequence of taking something that your kid loves for an amount of time. For instance, if your kid has a cell phone and he loves to play with him after do all the stuff from school, is allowed every day to play, for instance, 1 hour. So if something happens that you need a consequence for a behavior that was not okay, one consequence can be for a week or for 2 or 3 days not be able to have the cell phone. So this is important for the kids to be aware that we have rules and we have consequences for every time we break the rule. Sometimes it's okay to break the rules, and when the kids are aging, you can incorporate this notion, but it's important in the beginning that he understands, because this turns the kid to be much more responsible, not being afraid, but be more responsible about himself and about others, and about his behavior with others. So it's important for you to make sure that there are consequences, there are punishments. I don't like the word punishment that much, because we always think about physical punishment, and it's not the case at all. So it's very, very wrong to use physical punishment, or to use physical contact in a wrong way with your kid. It's very wrong to do any kind of psychological threat or whatever, and it's correct to just talk and to just take something that the kids really like, and to make him understand why this happened and how we can avoid it. Support abilities is another thing that it's very important in the relationship between you and your kid. So supporting his wishes, his dreams, his abilities, his special skills, his hobbies. All of this is very important, and it's important that you be present for him. So if he likes to play some kind of sport, it's important that you sometimes go to see him practice that sport. If he likes to dance, if he likes theater or other kind of art, it's important for you to be there for him and to be positive about all of these experiences that he wanted to have or he has already. Behavior. So we were talking about punishments and rules and so on, but now I want to talk specifically about behaves. Behaves are, they must have rules, and they must have consequences, and they must have boundaries. So, of course, you set some rules for some behaves, and you set some consequences, but it's very important that you set boundaries, because aggression, because physical contact in a negative way, because all of these things sometimes happened in some phases, particularly between 2 and 3 years old, when the kids start to go to a more specific group, a social group like kindergarten. Sometimes they don't know how to express themselves, and the way they express is a physical way. So they sometimes bite, they sometimes get some physical or use some physical ways to just express themselves. But you should know that even this is a phase, this should not be acceptable. So talk with your kid if something happened like this, and try to make him understand that there's some boundaries. So you should not kick other people, you should not bite other people, you should not do some kind of physical negative contact with other people, and talk to him about the consequences of this behavior. Even if your kid is a 2-year-old, he will understand. Even if he doesn't have the words to express himself, he understands you, he understands what you want to say, and he understands what you mean. And most of all, focus on the consequences, because it's important for him to understand if he's doing again, he has a consequence. So focus on this and make him believe that he knows all the consequences of his behaves. Another fact is that I really believe that all the problems can be addressed. So try to be positive, try to be calm, try to not be frustrated, try to not be constantly saying no, try to believe that things can really change, and they will change. If you need, search for help, search for advice, search for some kind of counseling. talk with the teacher in the school, talk with some other people that has kids in the same age, talk with some doctor or some person that has the ability of working with kids. Find a person that you really want to hear the opinion, and collect all the opinions and choose what you think it's better for your case and for your kid. Remember, each kid is totally different from others. You can even have several kids, and of course you know that they all have different behaves, but they all have different reasons for behave. So nothing is just because it is. Things has always something behind, and if you can address what is behind some behave, it's better, and it's easier for you to just deal with it, and to just try to turn it better or make it in a different way. So safety at home, it's the most important feeling for your kid. Is where he feels himself, is where his confidence is higher, and is where you should provide everything that make him feel good and feel totally relaxed. So providing a safety environment at home, it's very important, and it's something that your kid will need for a normal development. So that's all for today, guys. Be aware that these 10 tips work for me, so this is not just something that I developed. I really practice with my own son, so these were tips that I use, and they work for me. So I understand that of course some cases are totally different from the others, and the kids are totally different from other kids, but the main thing and the main idea is here, and I hope you like it. I hope you subscribe, I hope you share with a friend, and I hope I can see you next time. See you then, bye.